My name is Vanessa. I started coming to the church when I was about 20 years old. I used to come with my parents, and at the time I didn't understand the value of the things that the pastor was teaching, was showing us. I knew that I was in college, I was going to finish soon, and I was going to have a job, I was going to have a perfect life. But things weren't as perfect. I started to feel sad. I started to have anxiety. I didn't want to go to the doctor because I had studied this and I knew that that wasn't going to help me. One night, I remember it very perfectly. I was in a room and I was crying because when I was at work, I used to feel like I wasn't able to perform and complete my job. It was like a panic attack. Although I didn't know at the moment, that I was experiencing like a panic attack, it was a panic attack. So that night, I spoke to God and I told him, you're the only one that can help me. You're the only one that, has a solution to my problems. I can't do this anymore. So when I went back to church, everything was different. It was as if it was my very first time in church. At first I thought, who am I to receive the Holy Spirit? Because I used to think things very logically. And I stopped. I had to stop that. That was a process because for me, 2 + 2 had to be 4. I remember the pastor that day, he said, we're just going to seek the Holy Spirit. I said, okay. So I just started, seeking. I just started, praying and just worshiping God and honoring Him. And it was nothing that I felt like, it wasn't like an emotion. It was just a certainty that I knew that that day, He was inside of me. Like there was nothing else, no one else that could tell me that I wasn't of God and that God wasn't in me. And I knew that day that everything had changed. Everything that I had done was worth it. All the value that I gave to Him, everything was worth it. After I received the Holy Spirit, I knew that all of the depression, things like that, they were spiritual. A lot of the people that I used to see in therapy, the children, they used to cut themselves. They used to have problems with their parents. A lot of adults as well, having problems with their spouse, with their husband, with their wife. One moment they felt one way and then the next moment they felt another way. And for me, I felt like in therapy, it was very hard for me to help them the way that I wanted to help them, the way that I knew that they needed help, things that only God could change. And so I decided not to continue practicing psychology, counseling because of that. And I, spoke to my job and they were fine with it. And they actually promoted me to become an executive director at a university where I work at in Washington, D.C. for an office of admissions. And I oversee over 20 people. And so my job took me in a different direction. Things started to progress. I started to get promoted. And, because of that, I was able to buy my own house by myself. And then after that, I bought my house for my mom too. So everything that I couldn't do before, I started to be able to do. And I was still the same person, but the difference was that the Holy Spirit was inside of me. So when before, even though I had an education, even though I was prepared, I wasn't able to do anything. I was a mess. I was sad. I was crying all the time. But then what changed was the Holy Spirit inside of me. For me, the Holy Spirit today is my life. It's everything. The Holy Spirit comes before everything and anything in my life. It comes before my family. It comes before my job. It comes before my time. It comes before me personally. I wouldn't be able to live without the Holy Spirit.